Well, I'm back and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Leadership Forum Live. I am your host, Colette Coakley. I am the founder of the Women's Leadership Forum, and I'm also the Vice President of Human Resources for Maryland Public Television, affectionately known as MPT. And we're coming to you again with another hot topic, another discussion, and another wonderful host. And for those of you who are just joining and just tuning in and finding out that we're here on Facebook Live and YouTube, I want to let you know just a little bit about the forum and who the forum is for. Well, the forum is built for women. It's a place where women can voice their opinion. It's a safe place. It's a place where women are there to learn, to uplift one another, encourage one another, discover resources in each other. So if you believe that in the family affair, yes, we are the family affair. Sly and the Family Stone, yes, you're in the house today. It is a family affair because we want you to know that all women are welcome. It's not just built for the CEOs. It wasn't even intended for just CEOs. It's built for all. We welcome all of you. And guess what? We welcome you wherever you are. So let me just say this. If you do not have a job because of COVID, we're asking that you come. If you're an employer, we're asking you to really come and employ those women who are job seekers. We are looking for all attendees. If you have a resource that women can use, we're looking for you to be available. Be available. And for those women who are intending to come to find a resource, we're asking that you speak up and say, I need, because this is a safe space for saying what it is that you want. And for those who have it to reach out and say, raise your hand and say, I have it available. We're matching you up. Now, speaking of matchups, COVID has brought unemployment to its all-time high. And where is it the highest? Among the women. So the Women's Forum is bringing something special to you. We are bringing job matchup. We have recruiters that are going to be available to you. And we have a program that is built for you. So you will have the opportunity to practice your skills, to have your resume right-sized. And if you have not, in this day and age, actually interviewed virtually, you will get a chance to do what? Colette says practice, practice, practice. So you will get an opportunity to practice and then submit that resume and that practice virtual interview to employers who are ready to hire you. So where would I be? I would be at the forum if I'm a job seeker. When is the forum? Okay, I'm going to let you know. The forum is March 18th through the 20th. March 18th through the 20th. Yes, we are a 3-day event. And yes, we have heard it all. Like, who's going to want to sit virtually for 3 days? Well, you are, because we are on a platform that allows you to hop in and hop out. Hop in and hop out at your leisure. So you will not have to sit there glued in your seat for 3 hours unless you choose to do that. Now, you're going to want to hear our keynote speaker, who is April Ryan, and our moderator, who is Sheila Murphy. And you're going to want to be in particular spaces, in particular rooms. We are giving you that luxury of doing just that. Now, having said that, that is leading me right into my guest, because I want to let you know that our guest is not foreign to the forum. Our guest was actually on a panel regarding women's issues 2 years ago. She missed last year. I will forgive her, but she was on the panel and she made us think. She made us think. I am proud to say that she is a friend of mine and she is my thought leader. She is my thought leader. She doesn't know it, but I'm calling her my thought leader. Okay? She makes me think. And I'm hoping that she will make you think too. So I welcome Dr. Heather Harris to the Women's Leadership Forum Live. Welcome, Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Colette. I'm hyped up now. I'm ready for the forum right now.
Okay.
I'm ready for the forum right now.
Well, why are you getting ready? I want to tell the audience a little bit about you. So you're the professor of communications at Stevenson University, and you are also a communications consultant. Okay? Now, you know what? This is the second person in a row that is award winning. So you're an award winning journalist who has worked in Canada, the Caribbean, and Zambia. Okay.
Namibia.
You served, say it, what?
Namibia. Zambia.
Oh, okay. Well, see, this is why she's my thought leader. I don't have shame about that. Okay.
I don't know how we're going to get through this half an hour.
What you telling me? So everybody in the earshot, hear what she said. Okay, she served as Stevenson University's first director of multicultural affairs and special assistant to the president from 2003 to 2009. Welcome again. I wanted everybody to know some of the credentials, because if you want to know more, you need to go to the website. Go to the website. This is my shameless plug here. You go to the website and you learn more about Dr. Harris. Okay, you go to forwardwlf.org, or you use our hashtag to search us, which is #forwardwlf. So again, I welcome you here today. I'm glad to have you. We're going to hear a lot from you. And Dr. Harris. Okay. Heather. Dr. Harris.
Please. Heather, please. You're driving me crazy.
Okay. I don't want to do that. Okay. So our topic here today is a little different from just the plain topics that we have talked about. It's equally as important, but it gave me, we had this discussion maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was very thought-provoking. So we oftentimes we talk about birth. We get all excited, we see the newborn, and we're so glad to see it. And even when we get baptized, we talk about rebirth or being born again, right? And then we often we have a mourning period when someone passes away, right? And sometimes we linger in that. But what you brought to my attention is the line in between. If you look at somebody's headstone, right? You see that little dash in between. It can be decorative. It can be, you mentioned squiggly line. Sometimes it's straight. Okay, a straight line. Okay, which means something else. And we should often pay attention, the most attention, to the line in between. Now, we had a little bit of a conversation about that, but get our conversation started on that line that's in between.
Well, what got me thinking about the line in between is I went to my mother's grave in 2019. It was 41 years since she had died. And for the first time while there, I noticed that on her tombstone, it only had her date of death. There was no date of birth and there was no dash. And I said, oh my gosh, all these years, and I never noticed that the famous or infamous dash was not there, right? And then I started to laugh because my aunt, my aunt Eugene Harper, a nurse who grew up with my mother, they're first cousins, but they grew up as sisters in Barbados, like sisters in Barbados. And so she was the one responsible for having the inscription on the tombstone. And so I started to laugh because my Aunt Jean does not talk about age, right? So the only way you hear her talk about age is, your birthday comes around and she says, so how old are you? And you say, oh, 50, whatever. And she says, wait, no, don't say that. Right? That's the end of the age conversation.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
no,
Okay.
don't say that. Right? So I started to laugh because I said, well, this is in true Aunt Jean style. There's going to be no date of birth. There's only going to be the date of death. So that's why I started laughing. And it got me thinking. Go ahead.
No, I said, wow.
Yeah. So it got me thinking, what about this dash? You hear people talk about the dash is even though it's small on the tombstone, it's really large because it's our life. And there are poems about the dash. And I said, but is it a dash? And I think of it more as a spiraling upward and a spiraling in, I think more so like an hourglass. So it's really big at the bottom when we come from eternity into life. And then as we become conditioned by the voices of the people around us, our family members, then the educators, then our friends and whatnot, the spiral kind of constricts and becomes a little smaller and tighter as we forget our divinity. And as we move closer towards moving back towards that eternal space from which we were birthed, the spiral goes out again. And I see this spiral not just as life, but as love, right? Because I think that love is so expansive. You can call it divine love. You can call it God. You can call it whatever it is that you need to call it. But I see that big spiral at the bottom as us really being connected to this innate love that we not have, but rather that we are. And as we navigate our lives, I think the fundamental lesson is love. But we often forget it and we become distracted by everything else. Unfortunately, the way our societies are built, the people who tend to assist in our moving away from this divine love that we are tend to be the people who are closest to us, because we have to live within the cultural parameters, right? And the cultural parameters require that we behave in certain ways at certain times on certain days. And then, of course, conditioning from the greater society can try to define us, or I would say redefine us, because we're already defined as love. But the society as a whole can try to redefine us into these spaces where we are supposed to fit. And we never fit, of course, right?
Let me ask you this. Do you find it ironic that the dash is small? Yeah. And the life in between is so large that we are to fulfill in between the birth and the death, that the dash in between is so small.
Right.
And our obligation, and even when you're talking about how love, well, I consider love large, right? Yes. Love is so large.
Yeah.
And yet the dash that is representing the life that we should live in between is so small.
Yes, yes. It in no way measures who we are. That's why it requires us to, one, live our love while we are in this space, right? And two, that hopefully other people tell our stories so that it's not just the dash.
Wait, so, okay, I'm going to get you to expand on that just a little bit. I think a lot of people are going, like, tell what story?
Your
You know,
story, your life, right? The people that you come in contact with, that you love and who love you, they
mhm.
will tell the story of how your love, and love is, that big ocean of love, and we're all a part of it, but how your love impacted their love in terms of their life, right? So
Mhm.
that's how the story gets told. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to, um, leave your name on a building. You just have to love. And I think that's what a lot of us miss. Those simple interactions that we have every day, those loving interactions, those become our stories, right? And
Okay,
that's what's left after.
so I'm going to relate that back to the forum. Okay. Um, because what I believe about the forum is that it is that gathering place, whether it's virtual or in person,
Hmm.
where women can tell their their stories
Yeah, yeah.
and other women can relate to
Hmm.
those stories. That
Hmm.
dash, that dash that's in between. So my belief is that everybody does have a story. They might not be the world's greatest storyteller, but sometimes somebody else can tell our story, like you mentioned,
Right,
right?
right. Every person that we connect with has a story
Hmm.
about us, right? And we have a story about that person. And I think when we remember that and we're intentional about the way we connect with people, whether we know them or not, if we're intentional about the way we connect with them, if we connect with them from a loving space as opposed to a need space or an ego space or an angry space,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
If we can be intentional about connecting with them with love, there's a feeling that's going to linger. I remember when I was about 24-ish, maybe 25, and you're raising your eyebrows like that's a long time. I know you.
Oh,
I know you want to.
okay. We were okay. Yeah,
And
it's okay. It's
I
okay.
I was on assignment. You don't want to be there again, trust me. Uh,
Okay. I don't
uh,
know. Hmm.
nah, not me. I was on assignment for the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation in Barbados, and I I can't remember what the assignment was, but I remember there was a woman at this meeting. She was all she was dressed all in white, and she had a head wrap that was also white. And I remember going up to her, having a brief conversation. I cannot remember her name. I cannot remember her affiliation, but I do remember her energy to this day.
Yeah.
I remember her energy. And I remember saying, even at that time, I like what this feels like talking with her. I like what this feels like. And so all these years later, almost, 30 years later, I recognize that, oh, that's love. It was meditative, but it wasn't meditation, right? It
Hmm.
wasn't romantic, it wasn't sensual. It
Mm-mm.
was just quiet and full and peaceful. I remember that. And so I'm obsessed with love. When I was that 24-year-old, 25-year-old, it was about the romantic love, which I really sucked at.
There's a lot of people who suck at it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I've always been a real student of love, I would say. and what it means and how it manifests and how I manifest it or not, right? Because sometimes I
It's
just
not
not.
on. It's not on 24/7, right?
Right.
No. Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
I'm just not loving, right?
No.
And and that's just a fact. But I try to be intentional about being loving, first and foremost to myself.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost to myself, compassionate to myself.
Yeah. I think I feel like a little bit I'm veering off of the topic, but you mentioned the word love, so you're out of bounds. I'm out of bounds because February is the love month, and I'm dedicating that month to the heart. This month we were really focusing in on weight. And so I guess I'm going to relate it this way. I can't wait to talk about love. But I also want to say one of the things that I am grateful that you brought to not only my attention, but my colleagues' attention is a different approach for confrontation and having a different sense of energy in an approach to resolution, rather than approaching it with the wagging of the finger or the wagging of the neck or the rolling of the eyes or the sucking of the teeth or the gnashing of the teeth. Mm-hmm. That part of your your examination of yourself can be an examination of one of love, and and being intentional, right? Using your word, being intentional about your approach to that situation. Are you coming from a place of love? Are you approaching that person from a place of love? And what's funny, just anecdotally, is that, you get mad at your boss. You're trying to figure out, okay, am I going to come at him from a place of love? Right? I had you in mind because it was one of those times, and forgive me, Larry, but it was one of those times. And I said, Larry, I am going to approach you from a place of love. And it wasn't romantic. That was for sure. No. It was not romantic, but I'm going to come from a place of love. It was a better conversation than I thought would ever be. And I'm not sure, I can't remember if it worked out in my favor. It didn't matter. It was a conversation as opposed to, let me yell at you, let me scream at you, you scream at me, you ask me where I'm coming from, who do I think I am? It was a better conversation. Now, what I will say to the audience is it takes practice.
Oh, but everything does, right?
Yeah.
It takes practice. A place of blame and judgment. That takes practice, and we happily practice that because we think it's what we're supposed to do, but it isn't. It isn't. And often when you approach people from this love-centered orientation, they think you're crazy. They think that you are off, right? Why are you doing this? All these things that are happening in the world, all the things that may have happened to you, all the things that may have happened to the other person. Why on earth would you bring love into this? I'm not interested in love, people would say. But as you have evidence of, when you come from a love-centered space, I call it the heart positioning system, HPS. When you come from that space, the dynamic shift, because love is the source. Love is the source.
And something happens in the air, because I think even at not particularly in that instance, but with someone else, they said, fight me. And I said, oh, I don't have that. I don't come in. I come in peace. Right? I come in peace. And they're like, oh, wait, I'm ready. I was ready to fight. Well, I don't have that today. And so it takes that right now, you know where I'm centered, and forgive me, it just takes me back to January the 6th. I don't want to have a huge conversation about
Mm-hmm.
January 6th,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes me back to January the 6th. Like, where 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 was that love in any of that? Now, I can hear what some people may say, that the expression may have been of love, but we're not talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about that kind of love, because there's selfish love and
Well,
then there's
I
love.
don't think there's any kind of negative love. I think what we saw on January 6th was fear.
Yeah.
Fear, fear of the different ways that humanity can be expressed, right? So the people who stormed the Capitol because of fear,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And most spiritual scriptures will tell you fear is always cast out by love.
Yeah. There's a bigger conversation to be had here, but I don't want to get away from the squiggly line or the straight line in between.
Well, I'll
Because,
also just say, as this is your month for wait, when you
mm-hmm,
think about love and the expansiveness of love, and the fact that love is everywhere, love is also light, right?
yeah,
When you love yourself, it doesn't matter how much you weigh on the scale. It doesn't matter how much you've just finished eating. If you have enjoyed that food, right? If you love yourself, it's light. It's delicious. It's a wonderful experience.
yeah,
So it does tie into weight. We focus too much on the denseness, and the denseness comes from judgment, right? When you feel less than fabulous, or as you said to me today, less than grand, right? Because today you're feeling grand. But when you're feeling less than grand, you also feel heavy.
yeah.
When
You're
you
right.
Yeah, when you don't feel loving, you feel heavy. When you feel fearful, you feel tight, right? And so love is like the cure for everything. Right? It's a really great jump off point to get you where you need to be. Because if you're loving yourself, if you're feeling light, if you're not thinking about that number on the scale, but rather how to feel better, how to be better, then the scale becomes secondary. And putting more love into your life, putting more love into yourself, putting more love into your relationships becomes primary. And that's a lightness.
So, what Heather is saying here is something that even on Mondays have been echoed by the exercise experts that we bring on this show, is that, we talked about the scale on the first Monday in January, and we talked about, should you pay attention to it? And the exercise guru said, not necessarily. A 200-pound person can be 200 pounds worth of muscle. Okay. And they can be fit. They can be fit. What I'm hearing you say about love is love can be weighty. It can be weight, and there can be, and it can be light.
No, I
I
don't
am
think it can be weighty. I think
well.
love,
Wait.
weighty in the scope of love and how we
Yes,
think about it. Mm-hmm.
yes, and how we think about it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also light.
Mm-hmm.
It's also light, and we have to relish in the lightness of it all. And people need to know to love themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Women in particular.
Oh yes, yes.
In particular. Now, you and I, we've talked about the whole social media thing, and that social media, magazines, television, everything before you. But you just need to go look in the mirror and see the greatness. The women need to see the greatness of who they are, period.
Yeah, we have to, excuse me, we have to stop allowing the externals to be our mirror, right? The mirror.
Which includes people.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. You know, when someone looks at you, that you're someone who with whom you're engaging, and that person looks at you with love, you just feel free. You feel present. You feel heard. When someone looks at you in a judgmental fashion, you feel smaller, you feel constricted, you feel tight, right? When you feel love within yourself and you're able to share that with other people, you're not just sharing love, you're sharing joy, you're sharing gratitude, you're sharing compassion, right? And it's going to manifest in different ways in different people. I'll give you an example. When I was a teenager, early 20s, 30s, even 40s, my aunt, who would not talk about age and didn't include the dash on my mom's tombstone, she would always say to me, you know, someone would tell me a joke and I would just laugh. And sometimes I laugh and I snort and, you know, and she would say, oh, stop that. That is so common, meaning not ladylike, it's just rough, et cetera, et cetera. And that would make me feel really small, right? Like I just couldn't get this model of femaleness together, you know, that I just couldn't do it. And I was thinking about it as I thought about what we would talk about today. And I said, the joy that I feel when I hear a good joke, that snorting or the laughing out loud, my head racked back so you can see my feelings, that kind of laughter is not common. It is actually uncommon. Mm-hmm. We do not laugh enough. We do not express joy enough. We're doing it backwards. We are doing it backwards. We're living from pain as opposed to from the passion that comes from loving what we do, loving who we are, loving where we are. We're just doing it backwards.
Yeah. Well, in this world, we do a lot backwards. You know, we do a lot of backwards living, you know, in general. And okay, you know, I always bring stuff back to the forum because my belief in the forum is deeply rooted. And I believe that we can help one another. There are 500 women that were in attendance at Notre Dame last year. There are over 1,000 women that just are recipients of the newsletter. Just recipients of the newsletter. Everyone in there, I believe, has a talent. And I'm claiming it, whether they know it or not. Everyone in there has the capacity to love, whether they know it or not. And what we are trying to do is to bring out the best of each woman and share it among ourselves. And so if you don't know it, we're going to high five you. There's that meme that's out there with Michelle Obama pointing to Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. Like, I got you, girl. I got you. I knew you. I got you. We're that. We're that. And we want women to know that we're going to come at you from a place of love. We're going to come at you from a place that's intentional about our business of being together and lifting one another up. And, you know, I'm not Darth Vader or anything like that, but I'm going to say the women who are on the panels, the women who are coming as facilitators are chosen for a reason. And sometimes the reason is not my own. There is a divine entity that says you are it, and I get to. I'm just housed. I'm a body housing that points a finger that says, "Can you help?" And I am fortunate enough that 99.9% of you all say yes to impart your wisdom and give of your time. And so I invite all women to come to our event to be, if you don't have a seat at the table, you have a seat at our table. You have a seat and you have a place to voice what it is that you would like to say, because we're here to listen. We're here to listen. Part of the problem is we don't have enough days to listen to all of you all. We have methods to receive what you have, but we don't have enough days. That's why this is a 3-day event, to spread some of what we have out and to hear you all. Now, what you may not know, what I'm going to tell you, hold on one second, audience. Hold on, is that Dr. Harris is part of a panel here. So you see her today and you hear what she has to say today. She's part of our panel, and we want you to attend because she has pulled together an awesome panel. And we are talking about social justice, women and social justice. Okay? And we're going to come from a place of love.
Yes, we are.
Talk about it. And so you will have an opportunity to see Dr. Harris and a very, they are the panel that you want to hear from. They're the panel that you want to hear from.
Well, one of them. You've got a lot of panels. You got a lot of panels. You got a lot of panels.
No, I'm saying I'm saying about social justice. Let me finish. I'm finishing the sentence off. They are the panel that you want to hear from about women and social justice. Yeah, we have other panels there. You're going to have to pick and choose. I'm sorry. You're going to have to pick and choose. But if you want to talk about and hear about social justice, you may want to check the box and go into her room. We have a lot going on that day. I want to just tell you a couple things about the day. That from the beginning, you're going to hear from a keynote. You're going to have a panel, then followed by a panel of women who are talking about womanhood. Then after that, we have 13 classes, 13 workshops to choose from. 13 workshops. You're going to have to make a decision on how to spend your time. I can't make it for you. You're going to have to read a little bit about each one and then decide how you're going to spend your day. We have vendors, we have DJ, we have sponsors who want to impart their information to you about their businesses. And you will also have an opportunity to network. So we heard from you on other occasions that you wanted more time. So we built in time for you to network. Now, you are going to have to make some decisions about that. Am I going to be in the networking room or the DJ room? Networking or DJ? You're going to have to decide. Okay, day one. Day two, we're talking about creative writing, how we can get what's in our head out of our head and onto paper. Followed by internships and apprenticeships. So we go from college students, high school students, all the way to tenured career people. Like how I said that, tenured career people. Okay. And then if you have purchased the VIP ticket, then you're invited to the happy hour, where you'll hear from our moderator, the infamous Sheila Murphy, who has a book out now. And I've read the book. I'm going to tell you, people, I didn't know all that I know now about Sheila Murphy. She's got a lot to tell. And so you'll be up close and personal with Sheila Murphy. Day 3, the Small Business Roundtable. So we're bringing to you the Small Business Roundtable, where you as a business owner, I know what's hot. That PPP, you want to know who can I get close to and next to and file properly to get awarded the PPP. Well, I'm not going to tell you here today. You're going to have to come to the forum and find out, how do I get that information? How do I get that information? So I am inviting you to the forum. And everybody, I know you're waiting for this. How do I register? You register by going to the website forwardwlf.org, or find us through the hashtag. Now, I'm going to thank my guest, Dr. Heather Harris. I'm going to give her props, okay? In the spirit of Dr. Jill Biden, I'm giving props to the people who deserve the props. Dr. Heather Harris, I thank you for being my guest. I thank you for imparting your words of wisdom about the little squiggly line or the dash in between the birth and the death on it, if it appears on your tombstone or not, your headstone or not. I also thank you because you give us thought-provoking conversation about how we're living. How are we living our lives? And is it through the lens of love? I thank you. And you give our audience members something to think about.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you.
And so I invite you all to hear more from Dr. Harris at the forum. Now, is that all? Is that all? No, because I want to tell you what's coming up. What's coming up? You got to know what's coming up. So Monday, I bring to you Chef Sharon Reed of RX Catering. Now, Chef Sharon, she's more than just a chef. Chef Sharon worked at IBM, and she pivoted to work her catering service and her nonprofit. And there's a reason why she pivoted, but you won't find that out now. You have to tune in on Monday. I didn't put the time up here, but the time remains the same, 6 p.m. If you want to hear about Chef Sharon's amazing story, and if you want to know what to have in your kitchen, because that's the question I'm asking, if there were 5 items that I needed to choose, what am I supposed to choose to have in my kitchen? Because my spice cabinet is full. So Chef Sharon is going to impart her words of wisdom about nutrition and food and tell us her awesome, awesome story. So that's on Monday. And what do I have going on the rest of the week? I can't tell you right now because my calendar is not. Yes, I can. I got it here. I'm prepared. On Wednesday, wait a minute. We're going to talk students, I'm calling all students, the Featherstone Foundation, who awards scholarships for internships program. You may want to join me to learn about this scholarship program. Now, hint, hint, Maryland Public Television just partnered with the Featherstone Foundation, and we have a scholarship program going on, which we selected a student for this semester. So it's live, it's real. You want to know more about that? You won't know about it right here. You got to tune in on Wednesday, the 27th at 6 p.m. And then we're going to hear from, to round out that week, we're going to hear from a young lady who has a transformational story. And she has been my rock attendee, my rock star attendee, because she has been with me from the beginning. And her name is Lori Raggio. And so I want you to tune in on Friday to hear about her transformational story. She lived in Baltimore, but now she departed us and she went to Arizona to live. Okay, as they say on the stories, tune in on Friday at 6 p.m. to learn more about Lori Raggio and why she's in Arizona so far away from me. Okay, now, the month of February, guess what we have? We have 28 days of Black businesses. We are highlighting Black businesses for Black History Month. And in our social media, and I'm going to have a special guest, but I won't tell you now. 28 days are going to be highlighted in our social media. We want to salute our Black businesses and what they're doing in this COVID period and how they are surviving. And then guess what? February brings March, and that's our month, ladies. We are marching right on into the Women's Leadership Forum, March 18th through 20th. Now, was that a lot to digest? Of course it is. And so you're going to have to follow the Women's Leadership Forum on our website, Forward WLF, to find out, to keep up with us. There's calendars to download now. If you're not getting the newsletter, okay, follow us. Follow us. I know Dr. Harris is laughing. She said laughter was good for the soul. She's laughing. She's demonstrating. Okay, that's all right. I love you all. I want you to come on back. Tune in. I'll be back on Monday to be with you. I want you to stay safe, mask up, stay a safe distance away from each other, and be well always. Stay tuned. Hi. Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
You're still laughing at me. All right, I'm ending the broadcast.
You missed your call.